Hello, everybody. This is Off Leash with Eric Prince. I'm Mark Serrano. Well, once again, we have potential enemies invading America. This headline: unknown drone fleet breached U.S. military base Airspace in Virginia for 17 straight days. These mysterious drones swarmed Langley Air Force Base for over 2 weeks last year. Eric, I got to read a few quotes to you. The Wall Street Journal got this story exclusively. So for several nights, military personnel had reported a mysterious breach of restricted airspace over a stretch of land that I know you're going to be very familiar with, that has one of the largest concentrations of national security facilities in the U.S. The show, this is how the Wall Street Journal called it, the show usually started 45 minutes to an hour after sunset, according to the commander, U.S. Air Force General Mark Kelly. The first drone arrived shortly after sunset, and according to Kelly, it was roughly 20 feet long, flying at more than 100 miles an hour at an altitude of roughly 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Other drones followed one by one, sounding in the distance like a parade of lawnmowers. Eric, check this out. Officials didn't know if the drone fleet, which numbered as many as a dozen or more over the following nights, belonged to clever hobbyists or hostile forces. Some suspected that Russia or China deployed them to test the response of American forces. And this last point, Eric, federal law prohibits the military from shooting down drones near military bases in the U.S. unless they pose an imminent threat. Eric, what in the hell is going on?
Well, if the enemy did that to test, certainly they found the U.S. forces to be wanting because they didn't do anything. I'm sure they had lots of committee meetings about it. They had lots of vigorous video teleconferences, and nobody did anything. If the unknown drones were flying indeed at 100 miles an hour, it's well within performance range of a helicopter, go knock one down, go intercept one, go throw a rope over the propeller of that and drag it out of the sky. Do something. But once again, and it's Langley, Virginia. That is where the main interceptor base of F-22s, the most capable air defense fighter in the world. Of course, if I was an enemy and I wanted to pick on the United States, that's where I would go to destroy the most capable air threat we have. And once again, the committee, the bureaucracy of the U.S. military was completely inadequate and found wanting, and apparently nothing was done. It's embarrassing. It's ridiculous. It's what the hell are we paying these people for?
Yeah, well, talk about paralysis by analysis. Reports of the drones reached President Biden and set off 2 weeks of White House meetings after the aircraft first appeared in December last year. They're talking about officials from the Defense Department, FBI, the Pentagon's UFO office were even a part of these meetings. This is just bizarre that we would allow this to happen to us again.
And if they were flying, if it was 20 feet long, did I hear you say, or 10 feet long, it doesn't matter. Again, chase it down with a helicopter. You don't even have to shoot it even. Lots of ways, any creativity. I bet you if they asked the junior man of the Air Force maintenance squadron located on the base what to do, they probably could have come up with better actionable solutions than the clueless bureaucracy of Washington, D.C. Again, it is so embarrassing. I truly wonder, how did these people get to positions of authority and responsibility? Because they certainly seem to be unable to make a decisive decision.
Yeah, it's the way the stories ran, and hats off to the Wall Street Journal for getting the exclusive story, and then Fox News and others followed up with their own stories. But the way that they describe this account from General Kelly, and he was quoted directly in the story, he's almost kind of bemused, like it was a show. Like that, oh, this is going to show up again just after sunset, and we can count on numerous, maybe even dozens of these drones coming by, 20 feet long, 100 miles per hour, and they crossed over to other sensitive assets across the Chesapeake Bay from there. This is just bizarre to me. And by the way, this isn't the first time this happened. Let's just remember. In October 2023, 5 drones flew over a government site used for nuclear weapons experiments. The Energy Department's Nevada National Security Site outside Las Vegas detected 4 of the drones over 3 days. Employees spotted a 5th. And then, of course, if you recall, Eric, this is after in January, February of 2023, the infamous Chinese weather balloon that crossed the entire continental United States before the U.S. military took it out.
If you're stationed at Langley, Virginia, and drones come over for the first night, you're concerned. The second night, you're pissed. The third night, if you're not doing something about it, you're wrong. I am shocked. Every one of those bases will have a search and rescue squadron. There will be helicopters resident and under control of that base commander. They can send a helicopter up to intercept, fly alongside, videotape, do something with that drone to get an idea of what the hell is going on. But that they let this go on for 17 nights and did nothing but meetings about it? Come on. This is just, how can these people be serious? If it's this, and you add to that, over nuclear sites, over other sensitive facilities. And you know, the thing is, Mark, a 20-foot drone is not something you can launch from your backyard. That's gonna require a runway, which is coming out of, presumably, in the United States, because I don't think someone's flying it all the way from Cuba or from Bermuda or wherever the other closest points of land are. But again, we won't know that because no one bothered to knock one down or to even drag it out of the sky. Because a drone like that, 20 feet long, probably a pusher prop, it would be very possible to drag a cable over it, disarm, or to disable its propeller, and to literally almost take it in tow under a helicopter back down to Earth, where you can investigate and see where's the controller from, what the downlink frequencies are, and start to look for whatever the ground station is that who put it there. It is beyond belief that we allow this to happen.
Eric, what are the odds that this originated from a seaborne vessel, that these drones may have started from the sea?
Well, that's entirely possible. You know, the Iranians have built a drone carrying ship that they for a while they launched it. It was operating in the Mediterranean. Certainly, they could have put it off the coast of the United States and have done the same, almost like a Shahed 136 drone. That's a suicide drone. They could have launched those and put those over U.S. facilities in the same way. So I'm not saying it was the Iranians, but the Turks have one. Certainly the Russians have the ability to do that. Lots of countries, anybody with a cargo vessel that you can make into a makeshift runway can make an at-sea drone carrying vessel. Again, we don't know because we haven't bothered to knock one down or to get the intelligence necessary to do a proper analysis. Again, unserious people in these positions of responsibility, indecisive, not the time to have a meeting. The base commander could have said, enough of this, I am taking charge of my airspace. If I am actually the air defense commander of this base, I'm going to make sure the air over my space is clear and safe. And no one did that. Disgusting.
Yeah, I love that phrase of yours, unserious people. This is what we've gotten out of this Biden-Harris administration, is this fecklessness, this ineptitude, that they would look at this like sort of in a bemused sort of way. Oh, it's like the evening show we're going to go watch and our hands are tied. Let me just read this last quote to you from the Wall Street Journal, Eric, because this to me really underscores the problem here. The sightings revealed the dilemma of defending against drones on U.S. soil compared with the ease of deploying or battling them abroad. Drones have become a deadly and cost-effective tool of war, capable of carrying surveillance gear, explosives, or lethal chemicals. Yet shooting down suspicious aircraft over the U.S. risks disrupting or endangering the lives of Americans the military is sworn to protect. This is just another big fat excuse to do nothing. And I think we could have learned a lot if they had taken one out, like you said. Hell, this went on for 17 days. So I'm dying to know from you, with everything we've observed, and we've talked about this here on Off Leash, about the deployment of drones and the way it's changed warfare, really, in very practical operational terms in Ukraine and in Israel, in this past 2.5 years in Ukraine and this past year in Israel. It's really changed modern warfare. And once again, your point that you've made here many, many times is the U.S. is playing catch up, and this is further proof.
In the days before Pearl Harbor, January 7, 1941, or just December 7, 1941, personnel from the Japanese consulate in Hawaii were flying around in a tourist aircraft, taking photos of the Pacific Fleet at anchor and moored in Pearl Harbor. That was the final target referencing photos used by Yamamoto's fleet to destroy much of the Pacific Fleet. Perhaps this was a reconnaissance operation, someone taking last-minute locations, defensive posture of the most capable air defense fleet that the United States has. And again, if I'm the base commander who's supposed to be owning the security of that base, and to see this going on for 17 days and not have enough individual motivation to say, I'm taking charge of this and I'm not going to let my aircraft, my people be subject to this kind of wanton collection. I guess that's the problem, is there's no downside for officers to do nothing anymore. And I would hope a next administration would praise the hell out of a base commander that said, enough of this waiting around. I'm going to protect my base, my people that I'm responsible for. And instead, this administration has conference calls, video conferences, and does the ensign salute. What do we do next? I don't know.
And thank goodness the UFO office was involved in all those conference calls, because they were going to, I'm sure, add a lot of value to the discussion. But let's exit on this, Eric, because you mentioned the next administration. So God willing, we've got Donald Trump heading into office this fall, and God willing further that we have a larger majority in the Senate and keep control of the House with a larger majority there. Because I suspect that if Donald Trump were to take office without having Republicans controlling both houses of Congress, that this could be one of the first reasons for impeachment, where I could see Donald Trump authorizing that base commander, shoot that sucker down, and being in violation of federal law. I don't know what the hell this federal law is that prevents our forces from taking action against a drone, but it's got to be changed. But in the meantime, I could see that scenario play out. Last word to you.
Okay, well, by that logic, then you can fly a drone over the Capitol, and it's against federal law for anyone to shoot it down. And again, I remember years ago there was an angry postal carrier who sent letters complaining to Congress, and then he decided he was going to deliver them himself with a gyrocopter, and he flew it all the way from Florida, right up the Potomac River, right in, and landed on the front lawn of the U.S. Capitol. And that was only, that was probably a 15, 20-minute event that they saw him on radar and they saw him flying slowly up, and everybody just did this, and lots of law enforcement with all the spectacular federal capability did nothing, and the guy landed, and he wasn't prosecuted because he was I think by law, he was a postal carrier, and he was delivering a letter, which was somehow vaguely fit within U.S. law. That's how he avoided being prosecuted for flying an aircraft right into the federal Capitol. So again, people can hide behind laws as reason to not do their job, but the fact is the enemy sees that amount of nonsense and bureaucracy as something to be sliced through, and they will do so at our peril. And so you need serious people that will take the spirit and the in account to the letter of the law and defend the base. With F-22s sitting around at Langley, Virginia, you have a couple of $1 billion worth of the finest air defense assets in the world that our country depends on to win wars. And you shouldn't allow an enemy a free pass for one night, let alone 17 consecutive nights. It's embarrassing. It requires remediation immediately.
Excellent, excellent final word. Look, it is time to get serious people back into positions of importance across the U.S. government, particularly as relates to our military. That's it for this discussion today on Off Leash with Eric Prince. I'm Mark Serrano. Stay tuned for a lot of great news from Off Leash, including a brand new studio coming up soon. And don't forget, get your unplugged phone today at unplugged.com/off-leash. You don't want to miss out. I'm Mark Serrano. That's it for us today on Off Leash with Eric Prince.